Yes, this is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. I had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
The Republican Party's racist.
Oh my God! He admitted it!
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Monday. It's Monday. Start of the new week, and a good show. Start of a good show. We'll see how it ends, but at least it's the start of one. Anyway, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk about Donald Trump and his new ad against DeSantis, and it's actually pretty good. Wait, what? What? Okay. Anyway, that's going to be fun. We're going to do that. We also are going to talk about how a Fox host does not know what's in the Constitution. Big surprise. We have parents of a Christian school being banned for being decent human beings. Unsurprising. We're going to have fun with that. White nationalists, white supremacists, go to Montana, and it's scary. So we're going to talk about that as well. And finally, 60 Minutes, there's a report on the military-industrial complex. You're not going to be surprised. And you're not going to be surprised that Republicans don't actually care about it and want to send more money to the military. So really, really interesting story there we're going to talk about. Anyway, so with that said, before we dive into today's story, I'm going to do a just a real quick correction, an update on the City Bike Karen story. So according to her lawyer, the woman in that viral video is, she apparently says that she has receipts showing that she had indeed purchased the bike. So I don't know what the argument was about. Maybe there was like a miscommunication. Maybe this person thought that it was their bike. I don't know. But she says, her lawyer says, I have the receipt. She did actually reserve that bike and pay for it ahead of time. So there's the correction. All right. And by the way, just to kind of add on to that, just a little bit, these are situations where, like, you know, yeah, there's a viral clip. And it goes viral because you see something happening that has happened before, where you have like someone who is acting like a Karen, somebody who seems to be very entitled to something that she doesn't own. And we've seen it before. And like the vast majority of those stories, that's actually the case. In this case, it doesn't happen to be that. And so, you know, anybody who, and by the way, whether or not this was true, I just want to say, like, anybody who's actually, like, going and harassing her and sending her threats and stuff, not cool. Now, again, I don't approve of that. I don't believe in threatening people. I just don't think that it's a good thing for people on the left to do. Call it injustice, of course. But when you send personal threats, death threats, etc., that I don't agree with. So everybody, don't do that. Even again, if there's some sort of, if there's like an injustice that's going on, yeah, you challenge it. But as Michael Brooks would always say, of course, and I'm going to butcher it, paraphrase it, but, be ruthless to systems, be kind to people. So let's move forward on that. Okay. Anyway, figured I'd get that out there. Military contractors, price gouging, no surprise. True. Very, very true. All right. Move on. Let's start out with Trump v. DeSantis. And a pretty damn good ad. Former President Donald Trump is once again attacking Ron DeSantis from the left. Oh, what? Interesting. So there's a new ad that was released on Friday that goes after Ron DeSantis for supporting a national sales tax. I'm going to get into what that is, why it's regressive, and why it's actually smart to go after that. But first, I want to show you the ad.
Run this sales tax at a plan to make you pay more. With the sales tax here
and the sales tax there.
Here a tax,
there a tax,
everywhere a sales tax.
In Congress, Ron DeSantis backed a national sales tax, a 23% tax hike on almost everything you buy, from the gas station to the grocery store.
You'll pay more here.
You'll pay more there.
Here you'll pay.
There you'll pay. Everyone will pay more.
90% of families would get a tax hike if DeSantis replaced the current system, making Biden's inflation hit even harder. We can't afford Ron's sales tax.
Okay, you guys get the drift, right? That's actually pretty funny. Not bad. Not bad. Of course, they had to get into the Biden inflation. You mean the corporate inflation? The fact that we have multiple CEOs on video admitting that, oh yeah, we're just taking advantage of this whole inflation narrative in order to pad our pockets, to raise prices. But anyway, aside from all of that, hitting Ron DeSantis, that's a good ad. Oh, that's a good ad. As one of you just said, Grumpy Cat says, Trump kicked Ron in the meatballs. Oh, oof. Oh, that's a good one.
Yes! My.
Okay. All right. So that's fun. And there's some factuality there as well. Okay. So now the Fair Tax Act of 2015, which again is anything but fair, as you can see, which DeSantis had co-sponsored, would have levied a 23% sales tax as a replacement for the current income and corporate income tax, employment and self-employment taxes, and estate and gift taxes. So all of that replaced with a 23% sales tax. Now, the bill would have also blocked all funding to the IRS because, of course, after 2019, and would cancel itself if the 16th Amendment, which first authorized an income tax, was not repealed within 7 years of the bill becoming law. What a weird piece of legislation, but it's basically there. This is Ron DeSantis at the time saying, corporations, pick me. I will defend you. Please give me all the donations and help me, and I will help you. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, this is going to help the rich. This is a massively regressive tax. In fact, this is not the first time a national sales tax bill was put forward, and it used to be just like fringy people that would bring it up. But now apparently the fringe, when it comes to the Republican Party, is the mainstream. Now, back then, this was in 2005. The Tax Policy Center looked at this. And actually, the numbers are a little bit different because it's a 22% national sales tax. But they found, as they would find when they do the new study on this, that it massively favors rich people. Because, of course, it does. Now, a sales tax rate of 22%, which they were floating at the time, would increase taxes in the lower 80% of the income distribution by, at that point in time, in 2006 dollars, $250 billion. Now, it's going to be more, obviously, because of the value of today's money, $2023 compared to back then. But still, you're going to have poor people, working class people, middle class people, everyone except for incredibly wealthy people paying a crap ton more. Now, the lower 80% of the income distribution would have gone, again, back in 2006, from paying 15.8% of federal income taxes to paying 34.9% of federal retail sales taxes, while the top 20% of the income distribution would go from paying 84.2% of the federal income taxes to 65.1% of federal retail sales tax. So again, Ron DeSantis saying, I will serve you, rich people, pick me. Pick me, pick me. Okay. Now, that said, yes, while DeSantis is trying to get wealthy donors that he can serve, remember Donald Trump, he's not also the good guy here. So let's be very clear about that. Donald Trump is out to serve who? Well, Donald Trump, of course. Now, a pro-DeSantis super PAC actually hit back with an ad showing Trump supporting the fair tax. And accused Trump of attacking DeSantis from the left, which again, in this case, is true. Now, why would you hit somebody from the left? Well, it turns out because this policy from the left, a progressive tax system, is actually more popular. Wow. Big surprise. Turns out it is not popular to cut taxes for rich people and raise taxes for everyone else. Weird, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure it doesn't take, a very, very expensive 8-year economics degree to figure that one out. It certainly doesn't take whatever degree Elon Musk has, if he has one, in order to figure that one out. Certainly doesn't take it, a degree from Wharton, where Trump went, his alma mater, to figure this one out. No, you just have to look at polls. Just have to look at polls. Now, and by the way, I have some polls later. Now, that said, Trump's whole point of using this attack, and again, other than it being smart politics, is he's touting his own tax cuts for the rich. And in the latter part of that ad, he said, he pointed out that his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, right? In fact, as a result of the Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2018, the richest 400 families in the U.S. paid an average effective tax rate of 23%, while the bottom half of American households paid a rate of 24.2%, which means, as a result of Trump's tax cuts, people in the middle class and working class paid more than rich people. Now, researchers at the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy also surveyed corporate financial reports for the first year that the Trump tax cuts were in effect. They looked at 379 profitable Fortune 500 companies and found that they had paid an effective tax rate of just 11.3% on their U.S. income in 2018. Huh! And what did they do with that money? Oh, wow, that's a good question. That same year, an analysis by the International Monetary Fund found that the top S&P 500 companies directed just 20% of their increased cash flow towards capital expenditures or did research and development. The vast majority of it, 80% of it, went to stock buybacks, dividends, and other asset planning adjustments. Those types of expenditures overwhelmingly benefit foreign investors and the wealthy who own the majority of corporate stocks. So let's be honest, both of them serve rich people. DeSantis, again, serves the wealthy donors. Donald Trump serves himself. There it is. Now, it is pretty interesting, though, to watch this happen, because it turns out on the right wing, the average Republican voter, lower income specifically, well, they don't want to pay more taxes. And they also don't think that the rich are paying enough. In a recent Pew survey, almost half of all Republican and Republican-leaning Americans, that's 46% total, feel that some corporations don't pay their fair share. But I'm sure, of course, the only corporations that count are the ones that are woke, right? The too woke. The wokers. No, let's be more fair. Because it's true, because people can see very plainly that, yes, corporations do not pay their fair share. Now, among all Americans, 65% say that corporate taxes should be raised, with 39% saying they should be raised by a lot. Oh, and by the way, getting back to almost half of Republican-leaning Americans, 43% feel that the wealthy also do not pay their fair share. So now I've got some polling here. Let's take a look at that. About 2/3 of Americans say corporate tax rates should be raised. 39% say they should be raised by a lot. Wow. And again, you look at all the Republicans, obviously the most conservative Republicans, still you have 37% saying, well, yeah, they should still be raised or kept the same. If you're, I guess, a moderate liberal Republican, that shoots way up, and it's like, hey, yeah, no, corporate taxes, they should be raised. Yeah. And of course, Democrats just blowing it out across the board. Funny enough, you even have upper income Democrats and leaning Democrats saying, raise corporate taxes, raise them already. Funny enough, strange to see among Democrats seeing lower numbers, 72% saying, I mean, yeah, we should raise corporate taxes by a lot, but it's a smaller number than upper and middle income Democrats. So I think it's really, really interesting on that one. So that's just recent polling. Again, from March 27th to April 2nd. Now, here's why that matters. If there's one thing that Donald Trump reads, and he don't read much, it's polls. He reads the polls. And while Ron DeSantis is trying to get wealthy donors with varying degrees of success, Trump's actually doing the politically savvy thing. And that is to run populism, even though we all know that it's fake populism, and he doesn't actually care about working people, just cares about himself. Hey, but part of apparently him caring about himself is that he has no problem lying to the voters and actually taking a populist position. Well, pretending to take a populist position. You know what I mean. All right. Make no mistake, Trump would sign the exact same tax bill. Oh, of course he would. Of course he would. As he's playing politics, you guys. Politics. And it's smart politics is what I'm trying to say. All right. Let's move on. Sorry. And we've got more video for you. Let's begin the next segment. Fox host Pete Hegseth is a little confused about the separation of church and state and whether or not it exists in the Constitution.
I'm very anti anything being banned. You don't want your kid to read it? That's fine. I want my kid to read a little bit
So
of
what
everything.
about like the
2,500 books banned so far, Will.
the trans advocacy,
I have one daughter.
elementary
School. She can read whatever she wants to read at an age appropriate to what she is.
So how about like the Bible? What if we wanted to teach the Bible?
I'm Catholic. I've already taught her about the Bible because I'm Catholic.
But no, what about in school, though?
Absolutely. Oh, in school? Oh, no.
Separation. Can't have God in school.
Separation of church. And then
That's
all
not in the
history.
Constitution, but
All
that's a whole
history
other
should
thing.
be taught.
Now, in case you missed that, that Democratic voter handing Pete Hegseth his ass on a silver platter, by the way. He did say, "Oh, that's not in the Constitution," but that's a whole other thing. Wait, no, separation of church and state, not in the Constitution. Now, here's the thing: it actually is, not the exact phrase, but it's basically the Establishment Clause. I mean, which is in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Look, the First Amendment, the Establishment Clause reads, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. All right. Again, you're not going to find the exact separation of church and state, the actual words inside the Constitution, but that's generally the interpretation here. And that interpretation, you actually will find it. It's from Thomas Jefferson. And in January 1st, 1802, a letter by Jefferson addressed to the Danbury Baptist Association in Connecticut, published in a Massachusetts newspaper, did put that phrase in there and said specifically that, yes, this is the interpretation of the Establishment Clause. Here's what it means. Quote, believing with you that religion is a matter which lies solely between man and his God, that he owes account to none other for his faith or his worship, that the legitimate powers of government reach actions only and not opinions. I contemplate with sovereign reverence that the act of the whole American people, which declared that their legislature should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state. And there it is. So he's like, yeah, that whole First Amendment thing about the Establishment Clause, yes, that effectively builds a wall of separation between church and state. Boom. Boom. Now, by the way, it's also codified in Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, which specifies that no religious test ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. That also effectively says, hey, there's a wall of separation between church and state, right? So here's the thing, and here's why I say that. If there were a specific state religion, say it was like evangelical Christianity, because, there's so many different flavors of Christianity that I'm afraid that if somehow there was no separation of church and state, you'd have different Christian sects fighting with each other. And not to mention, other religious sects fighting with each other as well in the minority or in the majorities, because we've seen this happen before in sectarian violence all over the world. And in Europe, this is why we have the separation of church and state. So we don't establish a religion and all fight for who's going to be the dominant religion. It's just ridiculous. Nothing tears people apart more than whatever, God they believe in, or specific Messiah, or whatever prophet. Doesn't matter. Anyway, now, if there was a specific state religion, well, then everyone who seeks office would generally be required to be a member of that religion, right? Well, again, that's traditionally what happened in Europe. Before that whole getting religion out of government thing. So, that's clearly not the case in our government. So we have built a wall of separation. So now, funny enough, this entire conversation happened in the context of education. And you saw some of that where this, Democratic voter, she's like, well, I'm against book bans. Obviously, that's the whole point. Like, no, I don't believe in book bans. We shouldn't be banning books. We shouldn't be banning education. We should be very pro-education. And that's when he brings up, oh, well, what about the Bible? Well, the Bible shouldn't be taught in school because it's a religious book if you're teaching it as in a religious class. Now, if you're teaching, I think, about all the different religions and you want to use Bible quotes or whatever as an example of some of the stuff they have to believe to do like a comparative religion class, I actually think that could be beneficial. And would be actually very, very interesting to me personally. But I also think that, if that's the case, it should be an elective. And should teach, again, the beliefs of all the religions equally and not try to prioritize one and instill faith. There's a difference between teaching someone about something and proselytizing, right? And doing sermons, which Republicans will say, oh, no, we're not going to do that. No, they absolutely are. That's kind of the whole plan that they want to do. But anyway, that said, this is happening while Republicans are banning books. And they are doing the censorship. And they are doing it on religious reasons. That's why they hate gay people so much. LGBTQI plus people. That's why they, they're also banning things about, racism if it makes white parents feel bad. And all this also connects to white supremacy. So that said, they want to do all that. They want to ban all those books, but bringing the Bible that teaches it teaches people how to make a drink, a potion, if you will, to induce abortions. It's really weird. It's weird stuff. In the Bible also, I pointed out, where there's a lot of sex, there's a lot of violence, there's slavery in the Bible. So by their own definitions, the Bible would be inappropriate. Wouldn't be allowed in schools. But here's the thing about a lot of these people that push this stuff. They don't actually know what's in it. They don't actually really know what's in it. Not those parts, anyway. It's just like how they really don't know the Constitution. They know maybe one amendment, and you know which one it is. It's the one they like the most. It's the one they always talk about. And when it comes down to it, it's the same way with the Bible. Republicans, they're cherry-picking the parts that they like, and then taking the most literal view on it. A constructionist, fundamentalist, if you will, view while ignoring the rest. The Bible they teach they want is not the real Bible. Yeah, it's a very sanitized, cherry-picked thing. It's true. Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to some Christian love and Christian love. Versus Christian love, I should say. Oh, interesting. That is, you'll see what I mean. Two foster parents were banned from attending their kids' private school activities for the heinous crime of supporting LGBTQI plus people on social media. No, I'm not kidding. Jamie and Joshua are foster parents to two children who were enrolled in a private Christian school in San Diego, California. Now, they were enrolled. So, now, apparently, there were some parents that were not happy about some of these social media posts from Jamie and Joshua. They had complained that their posts on Instagram were not hateful enough towards LGBTQI plus people, and therefore the parents themselves were a danger to the children and should not be around other children. No, I'm, again, not kidding. Here's what Josh and Jamie said in a TikTok video. Quote, "We are very affirming of the LGBTQ community and said over the last few years, they have been far more accepting as Christians of other people. Quote, our theology in this area has drastically changed over the years. We don't believe being gay is a sin." So now look, I like it when people change their minds. I know, look, I know some people want to hold on to that and be like, but you're treating people terribly, or you had treated people terribly in the past and you had said terrible things. I get it. But this is what, this is what progressivism is really about. It is about changing your mind and becoming more accepting and becoming a better person. So I like it. I like when people progress. I like when people become better. I like it when people who were, formerly, were once hateful people realize, oh, yeah, that was really bad. Turns out hating people was really dumb and I don't want to do it anymore. And so I like it when people evolve. I like it when people change. And I like it when people affirm other people and their identities and actually try to do some restorative justice. I like that. And I encourage that to happen. So now, some people did not encourage that. Some people did not like that at all. Now, Jamie said, quote, because we publicly posted on that, things at our kids' school changed. Sharing on TikTok, the couple said that they were warned that they were, quote, an inherent harm to kids, and then were subsequently banned from school events where children are present due to the posts, and once again, affirming the existence of LGBTQIA plus people. Now, if you're wondering, why go to those levels of nuclear? Well, it's because of the groomer smear that you hear all the time on the right wing. You have YouTubers like Matt Walsh. You have Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro of the Daily Wire over on Rumble, Twitter with Haya Rajcik, also known as Libs of TikTok, Elon Musk. All of these different people say the worst things about trans people, the LGBTQIA plus community, but also their allies. They say things like, oh, you don't understand, they're grooming children, right? Well, that's a very specific charge without any evidence. Grooming essentially means that you are manipulating and prepping children, manipulating them, gaining their trust, etc., so that you can sexually abuse them. That you can be a pedophile. If you call someone a groomer, you are calling them a pedophile. And all of these people who are doing this, the Tim Pools, the Matt Walshes, they're doing this on purpose. They know this. They know exactly what they're doing. They're calling LGBTQIA plus people and their allies pedophiles without any shred of evidence at all. Because the vast majority of people that actually prey on children are in the churches. Matt Walsh completely ignores it and actually stands up for those people. Stands up for the pedophiles in the churches. People like Josh Duggar, who he defended publicly. So that said, these people have gigantic reach. They have millions of people that watch them on social media. They have a lot of money for advertising. So they get out there. And now you have members of the religious right who are convinced that anybody who's an ally to LGBTQIA plus people are either pedophiles or helping pedophiles. That's the result of this. So the implication towards these parents is saying that if you are affirming the existence of, gay people, trans people, etc., then you are an inherent harm to children. You do not hate gay people enough. You don't hate them at all. Well, that means you must be one of them. Now, Lynn replied to the comments that they had spent 2 years working with their local youth ministry, as well as social work, helping children out. So, look, this is, putting your beliefs in action, going out to the community and trying to help people. I should like that. I think that's positive. But here's the thing. To those people, actually helping real children is not good enough. Because the whole point is not to help children. Christian nationalists would rather you be hateful than help a single real child. You see, good things, good works, good acts do nothing. They want hatred. That's what they stand for. They stand for hate. They stand for bigotry. And this is what's going on. Now, of course, after they were essentially told, you are a harm to children for not being a hateful person, they decided to pull their children out of school, and it's the smart thing to do. Lynn added, after the field trip happened, and we were informed, by the way, the husband was trying to be a chaperone, just signed up to be a chaperone. And then that's when parents looked through their social media and complained that they were not being hateful enough. So now after that happened and they were informed that they were no longer allowed at any school events where kids were present. Again, think of that implication. Quote, we really couldn't keep them there. Now, they decided to do, on the last day, the best kind of trolling, which I think you're going to appreciate. On the last day of school, the couple sent cupcakes to that school. Those cupcakes were adorned with rainbows and unicorns in order to make a statement. I like that. That's just enough passive aggressive for me to appreciate, because I love that. Look, not backing down, not flying into a rage, but just doing some passive aggressive baking. I don't know why, but I love it. I just love it. So, I think we need more of that. I think we need more love in the face of hatred, as well as, again, passive aggressive trolling. But look, after all, this entire thing is about love. It's about loving people who are different. It's about treating human beings as if they're human beings. It is about giving people rights and respect as human beings. It is about civil rights of people who are, gay and trans to live their own lives. And look, theologically, this couple, who seems to be quite religious, again, part of a private church, sending their kids to a private church school for a religious school and all that stuff, being active in their youth group. Obviously, these are very religious people. They are in the right here, theologically. I'm not a religious person. If you've been watching my content long enough, you should know that. But if you don't, I'm an atheist. But I love it when, religious people actually do the good things in their religion to help other people. Because I think that's ultimately should be the point. Getting into a community and then helping people that don't agree with you always, or don't believe the same way that you do, but still get along. That's the whole point. Helping people. And so you have this couple and countless other people. This is just one example where they're trying to be more like their Jesus. Jesus, if you read the Bible, doesn't give a damn about who you are. Immigrant, prostitute, doesn't matter. The only thing he asks is that you give away all of your worldly possessions if you're going to follow me. You cannot be a rich person and follow me. That's all he asked of anybody else. So, wouldn't it be better if you had all these Christians, supposed, right-wing Christians that try to be more like that, instead of the hateful bigots that we're seeing right now? Or just even like these people who are trying to do the right thing and be more supportive of people that are different. Now, this got a lot of support online, by the way. One of the most upvoted comments said, quote, "Welcome to Christian love." And I think it's a variation of there's no hate quite like Christian love. But again, that's right-wing Christian love. Let's be honest. Another commenter said, "You're the best kind of petty." Getting back to the cupcakes, your new school will be so lovely. As a pastor of Progressive Church, another one said, "May I say that you guys are absolute legends." Look at that, see, progressive churches. Now, another person shared how they had similar struggles with their religious private school. Quote, "We just pulled over kids 3 weeks ago due to the same issue. My kids are doing so much better in public school and much happier." Another person says, "I love that you admitted that you changed your opinion. I'm a principal of a public school. You will be welcomed." And another says, "I love it and I applaud you for growing." finally, one last one. I think you guys are amazing, and it's awful you guys had to even change schools. Well, again, at the end of the day, they did the right thing. And this is what I want to see. Again, I feel like I'm too often in the bubble where there are people on social media that just want to tear everybody else down for like ridiculous reasons. I mean, if we're all just striving for, loving people, caring for other people, helping people, even if we have different like beliefs, like what religion you subscribe to or whatever, I don't really care. I don't really care if you're Muslim. I don't really care if you're Jewish. I don't really care if you're, atheist, agnostic. I don't care if you're, a Christian. I don't care. You're Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Are you doing the right thing for people? Are you trying to help people? Are you trying to make the world a better place? That's all that should ever matter. And so I want to give them big credit for changing their minds and trying to become better people, more open people, more accepting and loving. And I think people like that need to be encouraged and welcomed for being allies. Okay. Children see rainbows and unicorns. It's just that, rainbows and unicorns. The parents teach the BS of hate, just like parents teach racism and bigotry. Children just want to play, have fun, and have friends. True. In their minds, they think they're making the world a better place by making life hell for non-straight and transgender people. No. That's not it at all. They don't think they're making the world better. Well, for those people, they think they're making the world better for themselves. And this next segment is actually going to go into it quite well. You'll see S-Bloom85, where I'm going with this one. All right. A group of white supremacists got violent over the weekend during a pride event in Montana. So this happened in Bozeman, where about 20 white supremacists wearing masks and sunglasses marched through the city on Saturday, May 20th. So now before I go to the video here, I just want to give you a content warning. There's a slur in here that you'll see. And these are just pretty terrible people overall.
Pedophiles out of Montana! Rumors out of Montana! Rumors out of Montana! I was at one in Oregon recently.
So, yeah, that was marching through the town. Now, they had carried signs. You saw some of them. White Lives Matter. Big surprise, right? They had also chanted anti-LGBTQ plus statements, falsely, conflated being part of that community with being a pedophile. Not true. And then handed out racist flyers. Of course, racist, homophobic flyers. So now one person who got one of those flyers, a man named Joseph Wood, decided to get into a little bit of a verbal argument with one of the white supremacists, and it didn't go well. In fact, it ended up getting violent. Wood claimed that during their argument, one of them used their shield as a weapon, while another joined in to pepper spray Wood in the eyes. In fact, he said, quote, "He checked me with the shield, and then they, reached around to this dude. This dude was he literally, hand comes from here, point blank, in my left eye. The most painful part was that I could feel it, going into the eye, not just, spicy on top." So, that's an understandable statement from somebody who just got hit in the head. So, it's a little bit mixed around, but you get it. This guy got hit in the face with a shield and pepper sprayed. Now, he was treated for minor injuries after the attack. And after this happened, by the way, the white supremacists scurried like cockroaches, essentially. Because, of course, they did. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of Wood after the attack here. And it's... Yeah, I mean... It could have been a lot worse. A lot worse. Thankfully, he is okay. But at the end of the day, here we go again. Another instance of white supremacists being violent, terrible people. Hey, where's Marjorie Taylor Greene? Isn't she supposed to be talking about political violence? Oh, right. She's obsessed with supposed left-wing violence and not the white supremacist violence, which is actually the number one killer of people in when it comes to, politically motivated murders in 2022. All white supremacists, all far-right groups.
Give me a break.
Okay. Now, the white supremacists had a few other interactions with Pride goers. Earlier in the day, there was another video posted by Bozeman Daily Chronicle reporter Nora Shelley that shows people chanting, "We're here, we're queer," to drown out hateful messages. Sweet. Another video shows people dancing to Gloria Gaynor in front of the white supremacists. So, one side dances and says, "We're here, we're queer," and the other side marches with shields, masks, and pepper spray. Ironically, one of the few times that they actually want to wear masks. Who are the hateful and violent ones here? I ask mainstream media. They can't seem to figure it out. No, here's the thing, though. Here's the question. Why are white supremacists protesting Pride? Doesn't have anything to do with race, does it? Oh, actually, it does. Turns out this anti-trans panic is deeply rooted in white supremacy. So let me kind of go through this piece by piece, I guess. So now you see we're against Pride because we're protecting the children. We have to protect the children. No, what they mean is they need to protect white children. See, to them, children of color are not children. They don't actually give a damn about any of them. See, this according to scholar Jules Gill Peterson, she noted that whiteness and childhood are co-constructed. Children of color, she says, are rarely described the same way as white children. Instead, children of color undergo adultification. And we see this where you have people that do racist attacks against black children, seeing them as older than they are. The recent example of a teenager coming to the door, thinking that he's, he went to the wrong house, thinking he was going to pick up his siblings, and the guy just came to the door and shot him in the face, and then shot him again. Well, I thought he was gonna rob me or harm me. No, well, that's an example of the adultification, and of course of the corresponding racism as well. Well, that child, he didn't look like a child, he looked like a scary black man, and we all know a scary black man is gonna come and attack me and rob me. No, but that's what you hear from the right wing all the time. All the time. So now, white children, however, in their minds, within this framework, need to be protected. They need to be protected from social contagion, and we've heard this before. Social contagion of being LGBTQ, specifically now of transness. Remember, there's a conspiracy theory going around that, and this is being spread by Moms of Liberty as well. A recent story came out that Joe Biden is trying to trans children. What? And again, it makes no sense, but it is part of this white supremacy. Now, they believe that children of color are contaminated already. Not because, not just because that they're children of color, obviously, but historical connections between race and sexual and gender transgression. They also fear, on the right, that white Americans' ability to reproduce is being under attack by non-white people. Who are those non-white people? Oh, well, of course, it goes to the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. The Jews.
Jewish space lasers.
Well, instead of the space lasers, they think, oh, no, it's great replacement theory, which, again, is a white supremacist theory that has been adopted, unfortunately, by a lot of members of the mainstream Republican Party, that white people are being replaced by foreigners at the behest of or at the control direction of some, Jewish cabal that is controlling them to take over the United States. It's so incredibly bizarre, their beliefs, but it is an entire web of conspiracy theories. And also, they believe that Jewish people are targeting children in order to make them gay and trans so that white children do not grow up to breed. That's why white supremacists and their allies and their useful idiots are so obsessed with genitals of children, by the way, wombs. They want to deny women abortions, and why they're against gender-affirming care. A lot of this goes back to the 14 words that all white supremacists know. And it's all related to the Great Replacement, and they see the acceptance of LGBTQIA plus people in society as part of the problem. That's why they're going to Pride events. That's why they're targeting drag shows. That's why they're calling allies groomers. That's what they're doing. And all of this, again, goes hand in hand with all the anti-LGBTQIA plus bills. All the bills banning critical race theory, which isn't in schools. It's a college level course. And all the right-wing terrorism that we have seen. Everything here is connected to white supremacy. And the Republican Party, they don't only want to ignore it. No. It's not just like, oh, well, hear no evil, see no evil. What are you talking about? White supremacists? No, I'm against them. No, they're calling themselves Christian nationalists and are pushing all these anti-trans bills. They're actively participating in it. They're fighting so-called wokeness. And when they do that, they're participating in it. They are doing all of this participation. And you have to see it. And you have to see that this has never been about protecting children. This has always been about pushing their hateful, bigoted, and racist agenda on everyone else. Know them for who they are. No, in this case, it was not Trayvon Martin got him, man. Thankfully, the young 16-year-old, I can't remember his name offhand, but he did survive, and thankful for that. I just don't know why his name is escaping me. Probably the ADHD. But anyway, let's move on. Okay. As part of their debt ceiling negotiations, Republicans are demanding even larger military budgets than before. Now, House Republicans are basically demanding an increase in the budget to the Pentagon, even as they continue to push for steep cuts in social spending programs of, the programs that I've highlighted in previous videos. So now, according to Common Dreams, the GOP demand was reported over the weekend after Republican negotiators rejected a White House offer to freeze both military and non-military spending. An idea that congressional Republicans previously appeared open to in exchange for a debt ceiling increase, causing talks to break down. Well, look, as I've said before, this is the debt ceiling negotiation is theater. They're going to come to an agreement because the stock portfolios of all these Congress people depend on it. So yes, all of this is kabuki theater, and I'm afraid as a result of this, we're going to end up getting more military spending as well. And this is just setting the stage for that. Nonetheless, Republicans are saying is, well, we would like to have massive cuts in social programs, but more funding when it comes to the military. Now, Republicans also, according to Politico, demanding work requirements for SNAP recipients that are more rigid than those originally proposed, and insisted on adding new immigration provisions to the GOP's recently passed border bill, while dismissing White House proposals to cut prescription drug spending and close tax loopholes exploited by the rich, which again, they were never going to do anyway. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders, who is urging Joe Biden to act unilaterally using the 14th Amendment, saying that, basically we have to pay the debt. It's constitutionally required that we pay the debt, so let's just do it. Let's just go and do it without Republican approval. He wrote, Republicans in D.C. are pushing for a massive increase in the $858 billion Pentagon budget, a $1.8 trillion tax break to people who inherit over $1 billion, and a $3.5 trillion extension of Donald Trump's tax breaks. And then added, oh, did they tell you how very, very concerned they are about the deficit?
Really?
It's the classic Bernie Sanders snark, which I have definitely come to appreciate. I love it. But and he's right, though. Republicans at this point are so comically evil when it comes to what they want. So, cut aid to poor people, which already has been massively rolled back. There are other reports of people that are, currently on the SNAP program, receiving SNAP benefits, having to massively roll back the amount of spending that they do on food. So, they're out there, they're not only, like I said, working, because 41% of all SNAP recipients work or in families that have income from their jobs. And still, they're like, I don't know, we're having to cut, cut spending. We still have inflation to deal with, so we've got even less to work with. And now, because of all these pandemic, since the pandemic is no longer considered an emergency, well, now we don't get this additional SNAP funding. So they're hurting. Average Americans are hurting, and Republicans are like, let's twist the knife. Let's twist it even further. Again, comically evil, literally trying to be the worst person, the worst people in the world, and they're actually doing a very good job of being villains. Now, in order, look at the math, okay? Because in order for Republicans to achieve their stated spending reduction goals, non-military spending would have to be slashed aggressively. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities had estimated that cuts to other federal programs, from housing to childcare to medical research, would be enormous if military spending and veterans' health care were spared. Which, by the way, veterans' health care should not be at all on the table. At all. I'm not going to be one of those leftists that are like, oh, we should screw the vets. Yeah. No. Everyone deserves health care. Everyone. No, did I stutter? Everyone deserves health care. It is a human right. Especially when you consider how a lot of members of the military are people who have basically went in because of the poverty draft, where they would aggressively target, communities that are struggling, with struggling people. Black and Latino, specifically communities. Hey, well, you're not going to have much here, but don't worry. We'll pay for your college. We'll pay for all this stuff. And yet, I think it was an E5, gets paid $19,000 a year, and also has to have food stamps to survive. So, but wait, if we're giving all this money, $858 billion to the military, where's it going? Well, it's not going to the troops. It's not going to veterans or their health care. No, I'm going to tell you exactly where it's going here in a few minutes as we go further. But first, these cuts would be enormous, 33% in 2024, and would rise to 59% cuts in all of their spending by 2033. And that analysis did not include the additional spending that Republicans want to heap into the Pentagon. So again, no child care, no health care, but the defense industry, they're going to get a lot of welfare, billions in contracts. And that goes to the contractors and their shareholders. And by the way, a 60 Minutes investigation recently examined private military contractors have been price gouging the American taxpayer. Now, it says the Defense Department, but who funds the Defense Department? We do. Back in the early 2000s, under Bush and the War on Terror, because of that, by the way, the Pentagon said, all you different defense contractors, go ahead and consolidate. And by the way, while you consolidate, we're just going to allow you the ability to monitor yourselves. You're going to go ahead and regulate yourselves. Somehow that'll cut costs. Did that work out? No. Unsurprisingly, with no rules, they took their now consolidated status, going from somewhere around 31 companies to 5 mega corporations. And what did they do? Well, they colluded and price gouged. And that's it. Wow, big surprise. So let me show you how much it has increased. Back in 1991, a shoulder-fired Stinger missile cost $25,000. Now, I think I look at $25,000, I'm thinking, wow, how many kids could you feed for that? And that was back in 1991. With Raytheon now the sole supplier of Stinger missiles, it costs more than $400,000 to replace each missile that is sent to Ukraine. So, $400,000. Even accounting for inflation and some improvements in technology, or let's be honest, lethality, that's a 7-fold increase in the cost. $400,000 each missile. I mean, that's insane. Now, how do we know this? Well, former executive vice president and chief contract negotiator for defense giant Raytheon, Shay Assad, went and spoke to 60 Minutes and said, quote, "For many of these weapons that are being sent over to Ukraine right now, there's only one supplier, and the companies know it." And adds that the gouging that takes place because of that is unconscionable. It is unconscionable. He further on goes to say, quote, "They need to be held accountable. No matter who they are, no matter what company it is, they need to be held accountable. And right now, that accountability system is broken in the Department of Defense." And look, he is absolutely correct. Look, the reason that it's broken is because we have a military-industrial complex and a system which allows corporations to give unlimited money to politicians in independent expenditures. That's our system. That's our system. I wouldn't say that it's broken. I would say that it's working exactly as certain people intend. These corporate executives are making bank. And so the politicians that continue to give them more and more money. We see increases every year of the military budget, while everything else ends up either not getting changed or cut. And that's it. They lobby and get whatever they want. Profits. That's what they want. Profits off weapons that they are creating to kill people. This is comic book levels of evil. If you were to look up evil in the dictionary, there should be the definition. Price gouging for and then for weapons of war. And then, allowing those weapons of war to be used on people, on other human beings. And many times many cases, what we've seen with drone strikes, innocent people, people at weddings. So look, these companies, these corporations don't need any more money. What they need is to be broken up. We have a monopoly going on here, and nobody seems to be wanting to talk about that. Break up these giant corporations. Because again, not only do they make money hand over fist, but they also push the country into more conflicts, more wars, more military action, and cause more death. And also, we are the #1 arms producer for the entire frickin' world. And if you're not worried about any of that, well, I mean, fine. Or not fine. Like, kind of a terrible person. But all you care about is money. Well, a Pentagon-backed study released last month found that these corporations, publicly based U.S. corporations in the defense industry, are financially healthy. The study said they are profitable. They generate substantial amounts of cash beyond their needs for operations or capital investment. The bulk is returned to shareholders so they can invest it elsewhere. They generate total returns to shareholders well in excess of what one might expect given their relative low risk to investors. Bankruptcies or other signs of financial distress are exceptionally rare. Strong financial performance was maintained even during periods of market turmoil. Because when there's market turmoil, well, don't worry. That just means there's, war somewhere else that they can exploit. Because there's always money for war. This is the problem. These companies, they're welfare queens. They're the ultimate welfare queens. They will always get funded while everything else gets slashed to the bone. Because that's what they're doing. Stephen Semler, co-founder of the Security Policy Reform Institute, has estimated more than half of all Pentagon spending between fiscal years 2002 and 2021 went to private contractors that provided the government with military equipment. So you could easily, by the way, cut that in half, which is what I proposed all the time. Cut the Pentagon budget in half. Because it's all about feeding their profits. Break them up, cut their funding. Now, unfortunately, though, none of that's going to happen at the moment because too many people, politicians, are on the take from these corporations. It's not going to change until we get money out of politics, private money out of politics. And then when we do that, we can cut these budgets and break up these companies. And we can actually defeat the military-industrial complex. But we have to get the money out first. Okay. Yeah, the military. The military defense contractors can bootstrap it. That's right. Okay. So let's do some super chats and end the show for today. All right. Let's see. Gabby Mathis, thank you for the very kind 3 gifted memberships. Appreciate that. Member comment from Tyler Hackner says, good not to jump to conclusions when it comes to reporting stories. It happens. We understand. Love you and your show as always. Love you all. Look, yeah, I think that's why I'm going to try to stay away from those for a while or from now on. I think there is a tendency, understandably so, to jump into these stories that look pretty bad. Let's be honest. That did not look good for her. And even though she was in the right, I mean, as far as, hey, that's her bike, the reaction did seem to be the weaponization. I think there could have been better ways to handle that. But I'm not going to get further into it. But as far as trying to report factual information, she's got the receipts. She's got the receipts. Okay. Gabby Mathis, again, thank you for the subs. Michael Norris says, I'm sorry, is that Pete Hegseth challenging a doctor? Not only does his hair look terrible, but know your audience and know who you're talking to. Yeah, but he thinks, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't even think. Okay. I'd love to see Fox News try to challenge statements at a high school or university. Kids are brutally honest and will tell you what they think. Shapiro. That's the thing, though. Ben Shapiro, like, made his, and it's also Steven Crowder, basically made their career on, college, like, Ben destroys college kid at campus, blah. So I think it's more of like, no, they actually need to debate people who know what they're talking about, because when they do, they get clowned every single time. Also, remember Reflera and Semi-Pro. I've never seen that. I did not see The Love Guru either. So, sorry, I'm not a big movie guy. So I don't remember any of those references. Tyler Hackner, thank you for a reminder. The name is Ralph Yarl. Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know why it slipped my mind. There's a lot. There's a lot to remember. But yes, thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. Rumsfeld announced $2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon on 9/10/01. Oh yeah, the Pentagon has been really, really terrible at I would say misusing our money. Was never talked about after 9/11. Yeah, those are good points. Fair points. Absolutely. Military spending I think it's considered one of those, by some people, politicians specifically, one of the sacred cows that you can't touch. But I think, no, I think I've had this position for a while. We should cut the military budget at least in half. At least. They're from the military unless they're about paying the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, and Coast Guard personnel more money for them and their families. They have no issues with them having to use social programs to help feed and house their families. And Rochelle Worcester, 100%. 100%. That's, perfect comment. They don't want to take care of the troops, the service members. All they want to take care of is corporate executives. And by the way, the generals and the high-ranking military officers that will eventually become executives at these, corporations. Okay. Let's see. Michael Norris finally says, if I ever became president, I would do budget cuts, 100% cut from the military and use it for all progressive priorities and still have some left over. Oh, you probably would have a lot left over too. Medicare for all is actually cheaper than what we're spending right now in healthcare. We also had 3 shootings in similar styles, so all happened to come out at the same time, so it makes sense why you got confused. Oh gosh, in America, mass shooting happens like every day. And yeah, we did have a lot of those. Like somebody ends up in the wrong place, and ends up getting shot at. I remember talking about the woman who was just traveling with her friends. Turn around in somebody's driveway. I can't remember her name either. She was shot and killed. Just for being in somebody else's driveway, turning around. No, this country's lost its mind. It's absolutely lost its mind. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for the comments. Thank you all for the super chats. Let me go over here to our Twitch community. Trey Sizzle, thank you for resubbing for a month at tier 1. For 4 months. Appreciate that. Subbies, go to help the show. Memberships, go to help the show. Our Patreon, you can go and help the show there too as well. Thank you all. With that, the family used basketball. Oh yeah. The basketball went into the neighboring yard. Thankfully, nobody died there in that situation. But damn. And then the next week, there was the cheerleader. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Twitch community. Let's do a raid here. Let's raid into a James from the internet. With that, everybody, please like and share the stream. Check us out. Check out our videos. Please like and share them. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you all back here tomorrow. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
How you like that, boy?
Oh, I'm in trouble.
I'm not working on McDonald's money.
It's not a salami sandwich. Disappointed! With sharp NATO, except with
Tighten up my meat. You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.